Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino ranks every boss in Hollow Knight's Silksong from easiest to hardest. I am 90% sure this is every boss in the game with a couple mini-bosses thrown in. I finished Act 3 and have 99% completion on my save file, but there's always the chance that some super secret boss has eluded every site I looked at to make sure I had everyone, since the game just launched and nobody got it early to figure stuff out ahead of time. I did just see that a Steel Soul exclusive boss was just found, and I watched the footage of it, and it just looks like a basic void creature that annoyingly dashes in random directions, but I will not have Steel Soul bosses in this ranking if there are any more. All footage is taken from my first playthrough, which I streamed in its entirety for like 14 hours every day, so let's do it up out here, starting from easiest and working our way to hardest. Number easiest, Moss Mother. The easiest boss in Hollow Knight Silksong is the Moss Mother, which is the first boss you'll run into after your introductory plummet. She mostly hangs out on the sides, either diving towards you or giving herself CTE to make rocks fall down. You can jump up there and hit her whenever, and then just dive attack her as she passes by. I know some people don't like the new initial pogo, but I think it's fun. I stuck with the Hunter crest until I got the Architect crest and ran with that the rest of the playthrough. Number 44, Skull Tyrant. I hope you like taking 2 masks of damage per hit, because that's what all this dude's attacks do, even the one where he just sits there and you bump into him, because we love persistent contact damage out here, can't get enough of it. Touching an enemy that isn't attacking should never do 2 masks of damage, that's just insanity, but in general I think a lot of attacks doing that much is necessary balance given how much better Hornet is at healing. All you need to do is hit anything 6 times and you've got enough soak to jump away and heal 3 masks at once in mid-air even. I also think people make the same mistake newer players made in the first Hollow Knight and frantically try to heal as soon as they take a single hit, and that's even worse to do in Silksong because of how much soak you're wasting by healing less than 3 masks. The best piece of advice anyone can give you in a boss fight is to calm down. Number 43 is Surprise, Skull Tyrant. So I'm sitting on a bench minding my own business, right? And then I see this Skull Tyrant barreling towards me, and I learned that I am one of those people who will just sit there and watch obvious danger approach them and not move until it's too late. It just didn't compute. I'm on a bench. I'm safe. Sure, the guy next to me just got stampeded. We'll have a funeral for him later. What was his name again? Oh well. After that, it's the exact same fight though, but I feel like the shock of it made me perform worse than usual. Number 42, Voltverm. For a later game boss, this bundle of electric testicles is very simple. Every attack is telegraphed like, hey, you see this area? Don't be in there in a second, okay? Definitely my kind of fight. You can do pretty much constant damage in between dodges, and it's over in less than a minute. Number 41, Pale Stag. A typical prey animal, the Pale Stag just runs away the whole time, summoning razor leafs that are more of an obstacle than a threat. You get 1, maybe 2 hits until he teleports to the next spot, and it's just so delightful to have to chase a bitch down the whole time. Number 40, Double Moss Mother. Trying to decide whether both these moms are a part of the same lesbian parental unit, or just 2 different moms who get brunch together and just so happen to be visiting when you intruded on their children's playdate. Either way, they're sending both their kids after you. They must really want to get rid of them, which I understand. If I had a home invader and a 3-year-old, I'd be like, sick 'em, boy. This fight goes the way you'd expect 2 Moss Mothers to go, and it's not difficult. Number 39, Lace. The reward for beating Act 3 is that you get to see what a fat ass this bug lady has. The Pixar mom's got nothing on her, but for now, she is merely an impish rival that you can dive attack with nearly reckless abandon. She's basically the Hornet of this game, except she spams counter even more often, and if you activate it, she does this long-range riposte that sucks you into it and does 2 damage. Basically, if you want to mash on her, you have to listen for the counter sound, and if she does, you can buffer a jump over her to dodge the riposte and get even more hits in. Dashing away mostly won't work unless you were far away to begin with. It's the first duelist-esque boss in the game, but I think those can be easier than some of the big dudes that fly around doing 2 damage just for existing. Number 38, Phantom. Lace might be the Hornet of this game, but the Phantom fight feels more like a Hornet fight. He jumps around and throws his needle in similar ways, and is pretty much as easy, but with 1 stronger attack. The big difference is that when he throws his needle, he lunges after it, so you can't jump between them like you would Hornet, and that little distinction got me hit like 3 times. He shows up after you solve the puzzle of the mist area, without looking it up definitely, and it's a nice, breezy encounter to stave off the frustration of wandering aimlessly through that bullshit for half an hour. Number 37, Bell Beast. Our faithful companion and steed. The Bell Beast starts out with the Moss Charger moveset until the bells begin to toll like hell. We need an agreed upon name for this BBW. We've ridden her far too many times to just have her as Bell Beast in our phones. I vote she be named Belle, like in Beauty and the Beast, which she's also a beast, so it works out. She loves to read and invent things and come when she's called. When the bells start falling, you can hit them as they descend to influence the direction they bounce and keep them from bunching up on you. Number 36, Savage Beastfly. I don't think we need a name for this one. The Beastfly is just a flying ball of contact damage that you can't get too comfortable being under because it always floats down to your elevation to start its screen-wide charge attacks. You really only want to uppercut it while it's zooming, or it will daintily lower its 2-mask hitbox on top of your head as if to perch upon it like a butterfly. Much like YouTube, he also spawns ads, but he seemingly has no problem killing them off himself with his ground pound attacks, so try to make him aim for them if you don't want to do it yourself. Number 35, Red Ant Clubber. Not technically a boss, but one of the first fights that feels like one. You'll likely find him before you can dash, and you don't need the dash ability to beat this guy, but why do this to yourself, you know? Just go get it and come back. I died 7 times on him pre-dash before I was like, yeah, I think I'm not supposed to be doing this right now. Then you come back with dash, and it's fine. You run under the jumps and dash away from the swings. Number 34, Roof Spitter. Another mini-boss, if anything. The Roof Spitter is a test of patience, and that's about it. Stay under one of the platforms as he sprays his acidic barf, then quickly jump up and get one hit and come back down. Don't worry, it only takes 3 whole minutes. And maybe that doesn't sound that long, but it is an eternity when you're actually doing it. Number 33, Watcher at the Edge. Okay, every time this dude does his rising uppercut slam thing, I just imagine Leon going, "It's over!" He does it pretty much as often, too, since he's only got 2 attacks. The annoying part is that whenever he's not attacking, he auto-blocks every strike you try to do, so you can only hit him when he's winding up or cooling down. This was my first attempt on him, though, and it's very easy to learn. Number 32, Gur the Outcast. Gur is like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist who sets all of his trap cards face up. He tosses out non-stop spike contraptions in plain view of you, like I bet you'll run into this. And maybe you will once or twice, but once you get used to how he moves and what he does, it's like a bullet hell where 99% of the bullets are just a distraction that had no chance of hitting you to begin with. Which is all bullet hells, to be fair. He always pops out of the ground, hovers in midair to throw either 3 or 5 traps, and then drops down from where he is, so while he's littering, you can get hella uppercuts in there, and then just get out of the way when you count enough traps. He's a one-trick Uma Musume, and you get the hang of it real quick. R.A.P. Haru. Number 31, Fourth Chorus. Better than Fifth Harmony. Tell me you guys don't get major Cuphead vibes from this boss. It's basically a combination of that and the Hell boss from Super Meat Boy. You'll be jumping up to whack its chin whenever you can while dodging extraordinarily telegraphed attacks, like a dad playing catch with his toddler about to throw the ball like, "Here it comes, you ready? I'm gonna throw it right now, get ready!" And then the toddler still gets hit in the head and gets CTE like the Moss Mother. After a while, 2 air currents will rise up from the sides, and unlike me, who didn't notice the point of that for 45 seconds, you should immediately use them to fly up to the top where there are 2 exploding mounds for you to hit with your needle or a throwing tool, and doing that will bring the whole thing crashing down to destroy the 4th chorus and finally end the K-pop song. Number 30, Cockwork Dancers. Is that a typo? No, it's not. This is one of my favorite bosses, not just because of how homoerotic it is, but it's a fight that follows a strict set of rules and never deviates, which pleases my autism. The dancers always look in the direction they're about to attack in, and it's set to a rhythm so you can get in a comfortable groove early on. I'm not sure if they share a health bar, but I focused on one in particular and it died relatively quick, but it can be hard to remember which one you were hitting when they start doing their big attacks and teleporting around. As you go along, the rhythm gets faster and more fun until the semi-final section has one of them attacking on the offbeat, mixing it up in enough of a way to plunge your whole strategy into chaos. Still, you eliminate one dancer and the fight is over, at least mentally. The remaining dancer still has a duty to perform, but now he moves around slowly, as if demoralized by the death of his bug-bot lover, and he must be put out of his gay AI misery. Number 29, Sister Splinter. I also really like this boss. She summons thorns that restrict the play area, and you have to manage slicing those while uppercutting the boss enough to win. She also sends out flying wooden mantises at times, and you definitely need to focus on them while still keeping the thorns pruned, or they'll slice you up with combo attacks and you'll have nowhere to escape. I'm using the Reaper crest here because I was trying it out, and it has the worst uppercut out of all of them, so that's unfortunate for this boss. I really only like Hunter, Architect, and Shaman, but you get Shaman too late to even do anything with it. Number 28, Pinstress. The Pinstress is basically 2 of those flying crow enemies in one, and is predictably annoying, but not too dangerous once you get her attack rhythm down. The whole reason you're dueling her is because she's given up on the state of the world and wants to be slain, and she certainly plays like someone who wants to trigger murderous instincts in her opponent. She will spend most of the fight sky camping you, tossing pins everywhere, and only comes down to do thrust attacks for you to jump over and get basically 90% of your total hits in. The Architect Crest is the ninjutsu build of the game. It gives you 3 red tool slots, and is meant for you to spam the hell out of all your OP tools, like the cog flies and the buzzsaws and whatnot, but for the purpose of ranking the bosses, I I decided to barely use red tools, if at all, and the crest also doesn't allow for any silk skills to be equipped, so we're a full melee build. If you choose not to restrict yourself in such a way, then you will want to throw everything but the kitchen sink at this suicidal asshole and grant her oblivion just as cheaply as she's being. Number 27, Great Conch Flies. More predictable movement from the flies themselves. It also helps to internalize that the ricocheting projectiles they spit can only come out at one of two angles and never straight ahead. Basically, they show you what direction they're going, and you just follow them along the path, dealing damage until one of them dies. For being a fly, the other one sure knows how to flee. He should be over at the festival, drinking grog and getting spied on in the bath. Number 26, Crust King Khan. This dude exists at the end of what is basically a Coliseum of Fools type area where you gotta go through stages and stages of new underwater enemy types. But thankfully, after the 5th or 6th one, you get a shortcut you can use if you die to the final one the boss is a part of. Because he's at the end of a huge-ass gauntlet, I think it's appropriate that he's a medium difficulty boss so it's not too frustrating. He's another guy that telegraphs everything, so you just have to navigate the rock obstructions and hit him in the interim. Pretty fun fight. Number 25, Lava Beastfly. It's the Savage Beastfly again, but now there's lava, and the ads are more annoying. It functions basically identically, except he'll destroy parts of the floor and the other flies shoot at you. Yeehaw! Number 24, Disgraced Chef Lugoli. So this is what happened to Paula Deen, huh? I'd recognize that homing dump truck anywhere. We better get our biscuits buttered, that's for sure. She spends the majority of the fight hurling chunks of her southern goulash at you, which looks suspiciously like the maggot water we've been taking involuntary dips in this whole disgusting, horrible area. You've just always got to be ready for that ass. It'll come at you out of nowhere, and it'll keep coming at you, so long as you continue to wield the Keyblade. Number 23, Broodmother. This is like if the Gru's mother was a homeless meth addict. You've got a small gauntlet of flies to deal with, and then this chubby yet somehow malnourished snot rocket pops up with whatever diseases it has and makes it your problem. The way the Broodmother just lunges at you repeatedly out of desperation is so pathetic yet effective. I am always getting hit by that. And then you're dealing with the exploding flies she spits out, as well as her shooting ropes of that adhesive ejaculate, a phrase I'm not fond of creating but feel compelled to immortalize. Number 22, Morwing. Apparently there's been a nerf to some of these bosses since I battled them, and Morwing is a recipient. I do like the idea of them being like, yeah, we need to nerf the 22nd hardest boss in the game. These rankings obviously don't reflect any patches that may occur or have occurred, but I never thought Morwing was that hard to begin with. It's just one of those not difficult bosses you for some reason keep dying to. You'll be on your 8th attempt like, this is not hard, what the fuck is happening? It's basically just a bigger Moss Mother with tricky projectiles. You do the same habits of jumping up to hit it and diving at it when it charges you, but then it shoots blades in these big arcs and it can take a little effort to anticipate their movement. It's also one of those bigger bosses that do 2 contact damage for existing and will inadvertently wander into you for extremely annoying damage as you're jumping up there to hit it. Definitely the worst genre of damage, maybe behind taking 2 masks for accidentally dashing into an already stunned boss. Number 21, Court of Craws. So I know I said I don't really use tools in bosses, but when it's at the end of a few waves, I will feel free to throw out a couple cog flies for the waves leading up to the boss, and if you've got max tool damage, these things are deadly. You can have 4 out at a time, and they do several hits each before being destroyed. Combine that with the blue tool that makes all your tools have poison, which I don't have equipped here, and you can clear mobs in no time flat. They're in a little hidden alcove in the high halls, if you're wondering. You might need craft metal to unlock them initially, but I don't remember. Anyway, the Crawfather himself enters the fray after a bit, with the horde still coming in strong, but he himself doesn't really do much. Just a diving attack you can sprint under the bounce of, and some walking floor pecs that are easy to just not be around. Eventually he'll start doing this chain thing that you probably don't want to get caught in, but it's not too bad. Number 20, the Unraveled. The Unraveled as a whole isn't too bad. The trouble I have with it is that whenever it pops up, it either rushes toward you hella fast, which would necessitate an anticipatory jump, or it immediately shoots really quick projectiles at seemingly random angles, which may or may not clobber you out of said anticipatory jump. The spears he summons are fine to dodge. You can always see where they're going in time. But this 50-50 of, is he gonna immediately charge me or immediately shoot up where I jump, feels like random guaranteed damage at times. But the projectiles only do 1 mask of damage, so it's not that punishing, and it's worth getting hit by one if you get in there to do a few hits of your own in response. Number 19, Widow. This is a good early-ish game boss. It's probably the first one that I would consider frantic and requires all of your attention, so it's a really fun one. If you thought Bell threw enough bells, this dude's got even more bells, coming in from different angles and even throws the fucking floor at you that you gotta float over to dodge. He's got a fake-out kill screen that initiates his turbo mode, making everything faster and harder, and it's tough to find a safe place to heal when the ceiling and the floor are coming at you at all times. Number 18, Lost Garmund. The once heroic NPC has become one of the void-touched fallen in a tragic turn of events. His worried steed has you follow it to find Garmund's location, and it's very sad. But if Garmund kills you, the steed comes back to your bench and tries to lead you to the area again, and I'm like, you know what, I think I'll beat you there this time. Garmund has his own regular thrust attacks and flailing slashes, but these are combined with heightened versions of the signature void attacks that are on basically every enemy in Act 3. You ever wish you could revert a world state? I'm not trying to do cross-country deliveries where now even the most basic enemies are infected and do 2 contact damage and shoot auto-aim 2 damage projectile volleys. They expect me to travel on foot from Belheart through the Blasted Steppes, through the Citadel, through the Memoriam, through the Putrefied Ducts while getting hit less than 3 times while every enemy has 4 new attacks and double the HP? I mean, I did it, but still. Number 17, Clover Dancers. These are the original bros that the Cogwork Dancer bots are designed from, but we're in the Green Prince's memory of Verdania, and his homie is already dead, I think. So he's an intangible spirit that can still tangibly attack you, but you can't tangibly attack it, because sure. It's like the boss battle equivalent of sitting on your arm, so it feels like someone else is doing it. Anyway, the Green Prince is your solo target, and the fight plays out similarly to the Cogwork Dancers, but they have different pair attacks that are easy to dodge. When they do the tornado thing, just take note of the direction they spin and wall jump over him, and when they do their screen-wide slashy slashes, just don't color outside the lines. Number 16, a Raging Conchfly. This dude went back to his village and gave a rousing revenge speech, and now he got the whole community up in drills against you. The big dude himself still behaves the same, but now there's upwards of 3 smaller ones on screen at any given time shooting ricochets and being assholes, so I consider this decently harder than when it was just the 2 big guys. Number 15, Second Sentinel. I literally put this dude/lady/robot's heart together piece by piece, and its directive to protect the Citadel eventually calls me the enemy. That's what you get with AI, man. It's not all copy-paste college essays and incorrect answers when you Google video game questions. It will turn on you. She fights like a taller Lace, with the same counter and similar rising uppercuts and ground combos, so she's dealt with accordingly. Now maybe we can teach kids how to think again. Number 14, Father of the Flame. If the 4th chorus is Cuphead coded, this boss is Salt and Sanctuary all day. I sure hope you like pogoing. I do, so it's fun. You can do some tricky maneuvers to stay in the air while still maximizing damage and dodging non-stop fireballs. You can also pogo off the weak points themselves, but it'll take a lot longer to kill him that way. But maybe you're okay with a slower fight that makes it easier to be careful. After you destroy all 4 weak points, the Father's head becomes the main attraction. Alright, that sounds weird. I recommend the Magma Bell tool that reduces fire damage, as well as anything that can protect your HP, since there's no way to gain Silk in this fight, unless you previously died in the boss room and just don't hit your cocoon thing until you need to heal. Number 13, Bell Eater. Act 3 is a fiendish place to exist in. You wake up and everything's wrecked. You come down to your fast travel station to check on Bell to find some degree of familiarity in a ruined world, and this motherfucker shows up instead. And let me tell you, he is a poor replacement, shooting red-hot balls out of his ass and being generally gross and buggish. Only his head and anus are vulnerable, and you've really got to hit them in the tips, cause his legs block damage from the sides unless you're right at the top of it. Eventually, his front and back end start attacking at the same time, like a reverse Eiffel Tower, and you've got to deal with that. And just when it looks like all hope is lost, Belle comes to the rescue like Torgal from Final Fantasy XVI and fucks that bitch up. She's a mother now, and she don't play. The father seems to have gone out for a pack of cigarettes. Number 12, 4 brothers Cygnus and Groin. This fight can seem very overwhelming at first. There's lava, but it's more manageable than it appears because Cygnus or Groin, whichever's first, only has 2 attacks and it's easy to jump away and get hits in after, while you have plenty of real estate to deal with the mobs. The Magma Bell is a must here, in case you find yourself flying face first into the lava fall, though you still take 2 damage from the boss's melee attacks even though they're fire infused. When Cygnus or Groin, whichever's last shows up, I recommend still focusing fire on Cygnus or Groin, whichever's first, because all Cygnus or Groin, whichever's last does is occasionally throw a spear down from above, while Cygnus or Groin, whichever's first retains the same moveset. Plus, there's no more mob spawns, so you have more breathing room. Number 11, Nihilith. I will happily break my tool rule for this boss, but you can tell the game wants you to have a range war with it. That's like the whole point. Initially, it's super easy. The boss dashes under you or launches exploding pollen, and you're like, wow, is this a bone bottom boss? Then the game is like, psych, and removes the whole goddamn floor. Now all of a sudden, there's no floor, and you have to do the rest of the fight from the walls, switching whenever the boss does, because whatever wall she's on immediately turns into thorns. Unleash your whole ass onslaught onto her, dude. Which tools you use are dealer's choice. I recommend the Piton, so you can dig into the wall without sliding down. Careful using the gun, because it'll slide you right into the thorns if you don't jump first, but definitely put the purple polyp thing on to poison the shit out of her with all your flying pins. I decided against the cogflies because I thought she'd be too far away for them to go over to her most of the time, but watching the footage back, she crosses over to you so much that they probably would have demolished her. If you're toolless, the only tactics available to you are hitting the spike balls she launches up and down airing her when she charges at you, so yeah, blast the shit out of her with your whole arsenal and feel heavily justified. Number 10, Lace again. Now on to the top 10 hardest bosses in Hollow Knight Silksong, starting with Lace number 2. Personally, I find it so hard to react to the rising uppercut she does. It has a distinct telegraph, but I have programmed myself to preemptively jump backwards when she does anything, because 90% of the time that puts me in a good position to punish all the rest of her moves, but that one exists purely to put a sock in that. What I should do is dash backwards in midair when I realize that's what's coming, but I'm 31 and my esports days are behind me. They were never in front of me, but the point is my reaction time is ass, and it makes me sad that I'm becoming an old man gamer. It's crazy that this whole boss fight is not even as hard as the first phase of the next time you fight her, but we'll get there. Number 9, Grandmother Silk. I think these words are separate for a reason. She'd probably get very upset if you called her Grandmother Silk. This fight is basically Absolute Radiance if Absolute Radiance was regular Radiance. This fight is basically regular Radiance. It's hardish, but not really for a final boss, which tracks with Radiance. She does a lot of the same things, bringing spikes up out of the ground, launching vertical and horizontal knives. You just gotta watch your surroundings and be mindful of stuff. If she brings up spikes and starts hovering over the spikes, I would just wait until she moves. It's bait to make you change your movement, and then you'll start getting hit by the other attacks more because you're out of position. You feel unfinished when you first defeat this boss, and it's because you are, so go do more shit and get into Act 3, that's where the real nightmare begins. Number 8, Last Judge. Hot damn, what a bitch. The Last Judge starts out no problem. Dash away from the swirly attack, easily avoid the jump attacks, then fire gets involved and creates an added wrinkle to every move, doing a great job of keeping you at bay when all you want to do is land hella hits. At this stage, you'll pray for the jump attack because you can easily jump over the floor flames and punish, and every time she does the spinning attack, it triggers the fight or flight response, except fight doesn't exist. Number 7, Shrine Guardian Seth. If you watched my Kazan boss ranking, you know I hate a boss with a shield, randomly deciding to block damage whenever he wants and then throwing it around like Captain America. Then after you beat his ass into amnesia, he has the audacity to come to your Flea Festival and beat all your high scores. He may have killed me 7 times, but that was the real insult to injury. Number 6, Trabio. I think there is a case to be made for this being the best boss in the game. Fun gimmicks, tough but fair patterns, just a good time all around. When he wraps himself in a tornado, he's invincible from the sides, but you can down air his head and then rush in when the tornadoes leave to hit him again. Otherwise, he's another boss that likes to just drop down quickly in midair, so if you're uppercutting him, keep that possibility in mind. Number 5, First Sinner. These are my kin, dude. You don't have to test me, just let me absorb you. You know I'm good for it. Super fast-paced fight, which I enjoy. It's like the first Grim fight, ratcheted up to 11, but everything is still telegraphed and manageable. I managed to beat it first try, but it took all of my focus and attention and could have easily gone the other way. The main thing you have to worry about as you zip around chasing this thing down is that you don't let it heal. If you ever see Silk forming around it the same way it does when you do it, get in there and interrupt that shit. I don't know how much it heals, but any heals are a no thank you. Number 4, Tormented Trabio. He's purple now, dude. That's my favorite color. It's the same fight with a couple added tweaks. For example, his tornado now leaves a trail of delayed detonating sparks that discourage you from trying to punish him, but you still can if you're quick enough. The main advice I'd give for keeping up with faster-paced battles like this is to dash very liberally. Never walk to an enemy if he's beyond a certain distance from you. Dash in there and let off the dash before you attack so it doesn't turn into a laggier sprint attack. Weave in and out of damage range like your Weaver Blood demands, and you'll get a lot more hits that way. Number 3, Scar Singer Carmelita. I was one nail upgrade shorter than I could have been for this fight, so that's a factor, but the other reason this fight is so tough is because we're all distracted by her beauty, like OMG. Of course, these were the good old days of her memory, and now she's a big old ugly corpse, but if she can dream, then so can I. She's another boss that decides to block attacks for no reason all the time, so fuck her, but the battle itself is a very fun dance where you have to deftly dodge her strikes, spikes, and throws. When she throws the two things directly at you, you need a backwards medium jump to dodge between them both. Too low you'll get hit, too high you'll get hit, and this keeps you close enough to punish, which you need to do after basically every attack you can, even if it looks dangerous to be near her. Number 2, Grohl the absolute fucking horseshit. Petition to make this his canon name when it shows up in the corner. Grohl is simply one factor of why this whole section is the biggest piss-off in not only the entire game, but the entire series. To start, the run back to his arena might as well be a courier mission. It's so goddamn long, and people are like, there's a hidden bench halfway through. Yeah, man, I found that bench. I'm talking about the run from that bench. You still have to deal with biowater, the worst area in the game, and the worst part of that worst area in the game, slingshotting across exploding obstacles while flying exploding enemies hover around perfectly in the way to knock your ass into maggot-infested water that prevents your next heal from healing until you heal yourself to cleanse it. Then you get to dodge the most annoying enemies in the game, these little moss balls that hop around and shoot the most accurate darts you've ever seen in your life, to finally get to the boss arena just to endure multiple rounds of enemy waves that are all, of course, filled with more of the most annoying enemies in the game, before the boss finally shows up to lob grenades at you, wander into you constantly for 2 contact damage, and suck you off your platform and back into the maggot water, while still spawning more of the most annoying enemies in the game. There has never been a more anti-player boss in the history of Hollow Knight, and you know what spawns after you kill him? A bench! Could've used that outside the arena, my man. I wasted all my plasmium and still died a dozen times to this abject horseshit. Number 1. Lost Lace. The hardest boss in Hollow Knight Silksong is Lost Lace, the final Act 3 boss, who took me probably 15 tries. Her first phase is similar to her previous iterations, except now her dash thrust leaves a trail of void in its wake so you can't get easy punishes jumping over. Her most punishable attacks are the standing void maw thing, where she launches those tentacles out in front of her, and when she leaps in midair and comes at you diagonally. You can always get good damage off those, anything else is situational. If she parries you, you can still buffer a jump and dash behind her to get a hit in, though now she has 2 variable riposte animations, and the aerial one can catch you off guard, but is actually more punishable if you're in the right position. When the second phase begins, she introduces pretty much every void attack you're used to seeing from Act 3 already, just slightly tweaked, and you'll spend a lot of time hovering in midair to avoid the hell taking place on the ground, while watching out for columns of void that go higher and will still hit you even at the top of a double jump. Every single hit does 2 masks, and all you can really do is learn the fight, don't panic, heal high up in the air, and don't waste it if you're only missing 2 masks. Eventually you'll come away with it and get to enjoy your reward. And that's gonna do it for this boss ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos before the meat spoils, and I'll see you guys next time.